안녕하세요. This is YouTube version of lesson 9. We're gonna learn about conditional and other useful grammatical elements in lesson 9. Okay, let's start. Before we actually start lesson 9, there is something we'd like to tell you. Now you know how the Korean language works, don't you? A substantial portion of the Korean grammar is about adding grammatical elements to the word. You have to understand this by now. Then what grammatical elements we are talking about here? First, particles. The subject particle, 이, 가. The object particle, 을, 를. The auxiliary particle, 은, 는. Time, place, and destination particle, 에. And you learned many other particles besides this already. But you still got quite a lot of particles to learn, okay? Postposition particles is called 조사 in Korean. But you don't have to know that. What else? Final endings. 아요, 어요, and 읍니다, 씁니다, which is used for the formal honorific sentences. 을까요, which is used to ask about second person's opinion about something. Of course, there are more. Final ending is called 종결어미. But as we told you, you don't have to know the exact name of it. Next, grammar expression, or some people might call it compound expression. 문법 표현 or 복합 표현 in Korean. 문법 means grammar. 복합 means compound. We use the term assistant predicate in our learning materials since it has another predicate in it. 을 거예요, which is used to indicate the future tense, your mild intention or possibility when you're almost sure. 을 것 같아요, which is used to indicate the possibility when you're about more than 70% sure. 을 수 있어요 is used to say I can do something. 고 싶어요 is used to say I want to do something. And there are plenty of grammar expressions or compound expressions that you need to learn in Korean. Next, modifier endings, which is called 관형형 어미. Do you remember the ending 은, 는, and 을? They are not particles, but they are endings when they are used as an ending. You use them to turn the predicate into a modifier form. 던 is also one of them. Next, connective endings, which is called 연결어미, like 고, 아서, 어서, 지만, 는데, 은데. You just learned about it. Yes, there are still a lot of connective endings that you need to learn in Korean, and every each ending has its own role. And pre-final ending, 선어말 어미, like the past tense indicator, at, 엇, the higher respect ending, 으시, as well as get, which indicates your determination, ability, possibility, and neutrality. We showed you only a part of this, but learning Korean is the process of learning these grammatical elements mostly, and use them in the sentence properly and correctly. But you don't have to think it's too complicated because of all the names and terms these things have. Simply, particle is mostly added to a noun. Only auxiliary particles can be added to adverbs and predicates too. And the rest of them are added to the stem of the predicates. So from number 2 to number 6, they are basically the same things to you. The point is, Korean grammar is mostly about adding grammatical elements to the word. And these grammatical elements are used to indicate the exact role of the word in the sentence, like the postposition particles, or to express a certain nuance, meaning, tense, or even your emotion. For example, when you want to say, would you like to do something in Korean, you change the ending. Got it? There are still plenty of endings and grammar expressions with assistant predicates you need to know in Korean. And learning Korean means learning those things. But don't worry too much. It's not like you must know all of those things now to communicate properly. You can make proper sentences based on what you already know for now anyway. We've been using English sentences to help you understand the structure of the Korean language and the meaning of the Korean words and sentence better because you were a beginner. But now you're not a beginner anymore. Now you already know how this language works. The important thing is, from now on, You should know that Korean sentence cannot always be translated perfectly into English, or the other way around. Sometimes simply it's not possible. So please stop trying to directly translate English sentences into Korean. What you really need to do is to learn the exact usage of each grammatical element. In order to do that, please focus on only Korean language itself. Then let's learn how to make conditional and conditional in the subjunctive mood using if in Korean. First of all, you should know that the difference between just conditional and conditional in the subjunctive mood is not very clear in Korean. Let's see the English example first to understand what we are talking about. If I found your watch, I will tell you. You can talk like this in English when you feel there's a real possibility that you will find the watch, right? Let's see the next sentence. If I had 1,000,000,000 won, I would buy a house. 1,000,000,000 won is about 1 million US dollars. Anyway, the main verb had in if clause is in the past tense. It's in the subjunctive mood. You put the main verb of the if clause in the past tense like this in English when the situation is not real and you imagine the situation. But the meaning is present, not the past. Let's see the next example. If I had 1,000,000,000 won, I would have bought a house. Now you put the main verb in the past perfect. Anyway, you use the first had as an auxiliary verb, and the second had is past participle of the verb have. You talk like this when the situation is not real and you are talking about the past. Like this in English, you can tell whether it is the real situation or not clearly. But in Korean, it's not very clear. However, Korean also works quite similarly, so don't worry. Then let's actually learn what to use in Korean. First of all, when you want to say if, you can use 만약. 만약. 만약 is not actually the direct translation of the English word if. If, in English, is a conjunction. You use it in order to introduce the circumstances in which an event or a situation might happen. But 만약 in Korean is a noun, which means the case which would or might happen. Well, you're right. Basically, they indicate the same thing. Therefore, you can use 만약 instead of if. There's one more noun which has exactly the same meaning that the noun 만약 has. It's 만일. 만일. Just one letter difference, so it's easy to remember. I would use 만약 to mean if, though. And I would use 만일 when I actually use it as a noun. But you can use either of them. It's your choice. The strange thing is, in Korean, you can omit this noun, 만약, when you make conditional sentences. Then what should we use instead? Can you guess? Yes, connective ending. There are two endings. The first one is 으면 or 면. When there is a final consonant in the formal block, you use 으면. And when there isn't, you use 면. You don't need this explanation anymore, right? The second one is 는다면, 라면, and 다면. A little bit more complicated, isn't it? Let's learn about the exact usage later again. You cannot omit this ending when you make a conditional sentence. So now you can see how important this ending thing is in Korean. Then, what is the difference between 으면 and 다면? They are almost the same. 으면 is used in order to indicate the condition of the following sentence, but it can also put the clause in the subjunctive mood. 다면 is almost the same as 으면, but the slight difference is that it can sound more like it is almost impossible, or there's a lower chance. So let's think about these two connective endings together again. The second one, 다면, can make the clause sound more like there is a lower possibility, or it is almost impossible, which means subjunctive in English. But the first one, 으면, also can put the clause in the subjunctive mood. What is this? What's the deal? That is why we told you that in Korean, there is no clear difference between conditional and conditional in the subjunctive mood. They can both sound like either just conditional or subjunctive, according to the situation or context. So our tip is, when the situation can be real, you normally use 으면. And when the situation is not real, you normally use 다면. And you can also deliver a clearer message whether you are talking about a real thing or not with the ending of that sentence, like the second clause, I would buy a house or I would have bought a house in English. So no problem. Let's make actual sentences with 만약 and 으면, 다면. Let's take a look at the English sentence first. If I found your watch, I'll tell you. As you see the English sentence, we can know that the speaker is thinking about a real possibility. If, 만약. Let's drop off the subject I because it can be understood. Watch, 시계. Let's add an object particle, 를. 시계를, 시계를. Find, 찾으면, 찾으면. The base form of the verb find is 찾다. In Korean, 찾 is the stem. You just add a connective ending, 으면. 찾으면. 찾으면. It's actually pronounced 찾으면. 찾으면. 만약 시계를 찾으면. 만약 시계를 찾으면. If I found your watch. As we told you, 만약 is not something actually corresponds to the English conjunction if. It just emphasizes that this is the case that would or might happen. You might want to ask, then what actually corresponds to the English conjunction if? I'll say the connective ending, 으면. Because you cannot indicate that this is a conditional sentence without the connective ending, 으면 in Korean. But you can omit the noun, 만약. Will tell. 말해줄게요. 말해줄게요. What is 말해줄게요? What does that mean? We can see final 르 consonant and 게요, which is used to show your intention. Let's break it down together. Do you remember the verb 말하다? 말하다 is normally used to mean to say, to talk to, and to tell. It doesn't mean make a conversation. It's rather close to inform. When you want to mean to make a conversation or to tell a story, you use 이야기하다 or contractive form 얘기하다. Anyway, when you want to add a meaning that you do something for someone or for the benefit of someone to a predicate, you can use compound expression by adding assistant predicate 아 주다, 어 주다, or 해 주다 to the stem of the verb. It's a new grammar. Please remember this one. 말하다 has 하 sound in its stem. Therefore, you add 해주다. You know how they work, right? So it becomes 말해주다. 말해주다. What's the difference? 말하다 just means to say or to tell. But 말해주다 means to say something to someone for the benefit of him or her. The verb 주다, which is used as an assistant predicate, actually means to give. So you can imagine how it can mean like that. You give, you offer. It's a favor. 말해주다. Will tell. We can say that it's your intention. Therefore, you can use the final ending, 을게요. 을게요. So you take out 다 sound from 말해주다 and use only the stem of the assistant predicate, 주다. 말해주 plus final 르 consonant and 게요. 말해줄게요. 말해줄게요. Will tell for the benefit of you. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말해줄게요. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말해줄게요. If find your watch, we'll tell. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말해줄게요. You can omit the noun 만약 and it will also mean if I found your watch, I'll tell you. 시계를 찾으면 말해줄게요. 시계를 찾으면 말해줄게요. You can use the other ending 는다면 too for the same sentence. No problem. It would just sound a tiny bit more like stronger conditional, which means there is a lower possibility. The grammar expression 아 주다, 주다 is used a lot. You don't have to know whether it's grammar expression or cupcake. You can just remember it. Just remember that 주다 is also predicate too, assistant predicate. That's all, and it adds extra meaning to the main predicate. Then let's make a higher respect sentence. Well, it's actually humble form. It's something new again, right? We'll tell you what it means very soon. Let's see the correct sentence right away. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말씀해 드릴게요. Or 말씀을 드릴게요. Or 말씀드릴게요. Without the particle 을. Let's see the 만약 시계를 찾으면 part again. We didn't use a higher respect predicate for this part because the subject is I, and the 찾으면 part is an action of the subject I. You don't use higher respect form for yourself. Then let's see the second part. 말씀해 드릴게요. Or 말씀을 드릴게요. Or 말씀드릴게요. It looks like this part has been completely changed, right? We'll explain. This can be a little bit complicated. Please listen carefully. This part, 말씀해 드릴게요, consists of two verbs. The first verb is the main verb 말하다. 말하다. Who's telling? Yes, you are telling. But you are talking to someone who deserves more respect. This 말하다 is one of the noun plus 하다 verbs. 말 part is actually a noun. This noun 말 also has a higher respect form, which is 말씀. 말씀. But you don't use a higher respect form for yourself. That is correct. Amazingly, this noun 말씀 can be a higher respect form and a humble form of the noun 말 at the same time. 말 means words, right? So you can use this noun 말씀 to make your words humble. Interesting, isn't it? So you can use it for your words too. So 말씀해 is from humble form of the verb 말씀하다. 말씀하다. Okay? For your information, 말씀하다 can be a higher respect form for the subject too, as we told you. Let's see the 드릴게요 part. It's the combination of the verb 드리다 and the final ending 을게요. What is 드리다 then? 드리다 is humble form of the verb 주다, to give. It's not a higher respect form. It's a humble form. It makes the subject, I, humble, so that you can show more respect to the object or the listener, you. So by making yourself humble, you can show higher respect to the object, you. Okay? So 말해줄게요 becomes 말씀해 드릴게요. 말씀해 드릴게요. And let's call it humble form rather than higher respect form because it's used to make yourself humble, to show more respect to the object or the listener in this case. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말씀해 드릴게요. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말씀해 드릴게요. 말씀해 드릴게요 part can be used as a one-word verb, which is 말씀드리다. 말씀드리다. It sounds like humble form of the verb 말하다. 말씀 is a noun. Therefore, you can split 말씀드리다 into 말씀 and 드리다. So you can also say 말씀을 드리다, 말씀을 드리다, or 말씀드리다, 말씀드리다 without the object particle 을. I like 말씀드리다 better. 말씀드리다 actually means give your words. So it can mean to tell self, no problem. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. 만약 시계를 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. You can of course omit the noun 만약. 시계를 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. 시계를 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. or 시계 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. 시계 찾으면 말씀드릴게요. Now let's talk about Korean honorifics again. What did you learn about Korean honorifics so far? There was honorific final endings such as 아요, 어요 with the honorific suffix 요 and 읍니다, 씁니다, 씁니까 with the formal honorific suffix 니다 and 니까. As you know, the honorific endings 아요, 어요 and 읍니다, 씁니다 are for the listener. Again, honorific endings 아요, 어요 and 읍니다, 씁니다 are honorifics for the listener or audience. What does that mean? It means these honorific endings are used to sound polite to the listener. So when the listener and audience hear this 요 or 니다, 니까 sound, they can know that you are trying to sound polite to them. For example, when you want to say I like Korea to someone who deserves honorifics, you can say 저는 한국을 좋아해요. And it sounds polite enough to the listener or audience, right? And you also learned about the higher respect forms. The higher respect forms are used to show more respect to the subject. Again, higher respect forms are honorifics for the subject of the sentence. What does that mean? What is the difference between the listener and the subject? Of course you know the difference. The listener is someone who you are talking to, and the subject is someone or something that you are talking about. Needless to say, when you talk to second person you about the second person you, the listener and the subject are the same. So no matter what the subject is, if the subject is a person or is something directly related to the person, and that person deserves more respect, you can use higher respect forms. There are higher respect nouns and higher respect particles too. But basically, when you want to make a higher respect sentence, you need to turn the predicate or predicative part into a higher respect form first. And there is a rule for it. You add 으시 or 시 sound to the stem. For example, 좋아하다 becomes 좋아하시다. And 이다 becomes 이시다 in a higher respect form. But some verbs have a special higher respect form. For example, 있다 turns into 계시다 when it means to be at a location, to exist, where the current state remains going on. And 먹다 turns into 드시다 in a higher respect form. Sometimes some people don't exactly understand the difference between normal honorific endings for the listener and the higher respect forms for the subject, or don't exactly know why they have to use higher respect forms while they already used honorific suffix 요 in the sentence. Again, the honorific suffixes 요 and 니다 are used to sound polite to the listener, and higher respect forms are used to show more politeness to the subject by raising subject's position. Again, higher respect forms are used to raise subject's position. Therefore, you don't use a higher respect form when the subject is I. You don't raise your position for yourself in Korean. Of course, you can do that when you make a joke or sound crazy by raising your position, but you don't do that normally. And when you're talking to the second person you about the second person you, the listener and the subject are the same person. Therefore, you can use the higher respect form to the listener too. Let's see some examples. 엄마는 한국을 좋아하세요. Or 어머니께서는 한국을 좋아하세요. My mom or my mother likes Korea. The subject is my mom. Sometimes people don't use higher respect forms for their own mother because they are so close to their own mother. But it will sound nice and polite if you use a higher respect forms for your own mother, especially when you are talking about her to someone else at least. 어머니 sounds more formal, so it can go well with the higher respect subject particle 께서. 어머니께서는 sounds better than 엄마께서는. Let's see the next sentence. 한국 좋아하세요? Do you like Korea? As you know, you can use the higher respect form for the second person you too, especially when you ask a question to the second person you. Let's see the next sentence. 할아버지, 아버지가 저한테 초콜릿을 줬어요. Grandpa, Dad gave me chocolate. Please take a close look at this sentence. 할아버지, you called your grandfather and talked to him. 아버지가 저한테 초콜릿을 줬어요. Again, who you are talking to? Yes, you are talking to your grandfather. And who's the subject? Yes, your father is the subject. You are talking to your grandfather about your father. Please take a look at the predicate 줬어요. We didn't use the higher respect form even though the subject is your father. Why? Because grandfather, who you are talking to, is in the higher position than the subject father. This is a good example for the relative honorifics in Korean. When you speak to someone about another person, you must calculate the relative difference in position between the person you are referring to and the person you are speaking to. If the person who you are speaking to is a higher position in terms of age, title, and etc., then the person you are referring to, you shouldn't use the higher respect form for the subject you are referring to. So you need the honorific suffix 요 for your grandfather to sound polite, but you shouldn't use the higher respect form for the subject father because grandfather is the father of your father. He's in the higher position and he doesn't want to hear the higher respect forms for your father or for the action that your father has done. Okay? Higher respect form is not official name, but we named it higher respect form because it is used to show more respect the subject by raising subject's position. The higher respect form is not just for very old people or socially higher people. Of course, you use it to older people or to the people who take socially higher position than you, but you can actually use it to anyone to sound more polite. No problem. Especially to the person who you don't know very well or to a stranger. Even though you're very close to this person and has become a good friend with this person, you can keep using higher respect forms when this relationship is from your social life. Even though your age is equal to this person, no problem. It's your choice. Honorific endings and higher respect forms. These two honorifics are the ones you've learned so far. But there's one more. It's honorifics for the object. Let's call it humble form in our learning materials. Then why do we call it humble form? Because it is used to show more respect to the object of the sentence by lowering your position. Lowering your position, okay? Again, this time, you need to lower your position in order to sound more polite to the object. It's different from higher respect forms, please remember. The higher respect form is used to show more respect to the subject by raising subject's position. But humble form is used to show more respect to the object by lowering your position and make yourself humble. Let's see the example right away to understand this better. 저는 선생님한테 선물을 드렸어요. It means I gave my teacher a present, or I gave a present to my teacher. Please take a look at the 드렸어요 part. 드렸어요. The base form of this verb is 드리다. This is the humble form of the verb 주다, to give. So the subject is I. You gave a present to your teacher. Teacher is an object. Doesn't matter if it's a direct object or indirect object. Anyway, a teacher is not someone who takes an action. A teacher here is a receiver. Because of the fact that the subject is I, you need to lower your position to sound more polite to the object. So you use the humble form of the verb 주다, which is 드리다. Again, 드리다 is not a higher respect form. It's a humble form which is used to show more respect to the object teacher by lowering the subject's position. 저는 선생님한테 선물을 드렸어요. Let's see the next sentence. 저는 선생님께 선물을 드렸어요. You can also use the higher respect particle 께 instead of 한테. Yes, 께 is a higher respect particle of 에게 and 한테. So you use higher respect particle 께 for the indirect object teacher and the humble verb 드리다 for the subject I to show more respect to the object teacher. Do you understand the concept? Actually, you've already been using some humble forms without realizing it. The pronoun 저, which means I, is also, so to speak, a humble form. 나 is informal form of I in Korean. When you make an honorific sentence, you need to lower your position by using 저. 우리 also has a humble form, which is 저희. 저희. You might think there are too many things to remember about Korean honorifics. Actually, there are more. So there's no point for you to worry about it. Just kidding. Well, these three things are the major things you must know, so don't worry. Plus, you should know that there are not so many humble forms in Korean, fortunately, so you don't have to worry about it too much, okay? Let's see the last example. 어머니께서 저한테 선물을 주셨어요. My mother gave me a present. 어머니 is the subject. 어머니 gave a present to me. 어머니 is the subject and me, 저, is an object. Therefore, you shouldn't use the humble verb 드리다 in this sentence. You rather use the higher respect form 주시다 for the subject 어머니. 주셨어요. Got it? Okay, very good. Let's go back to 만약, 으면, and 다면 again. It'll be a bit complicated and long page, but it'll be very interesting. Let's make extra sentences using 만약, 으면, and 다면. We'll make Korean sentences for these three English sentences. If I have 1 billion won, I will buy a house. If I had 1 billion won, I would buy a house. If I had 1 billion won, I would have bought a house. Before we do that, I'd like to point out two things. First, in Korean, when you make a conditional sentence, you don't really have to worry if there is a real possibility or not. Second, in Korean, it is more important to know which tense the sentence indicates. Okay? We are doing this not because it is important for you to translate the English sentence into Korean, but because it is important for you to exactly understand how Korean works by knowing the difference. Yes, there will be a small difference between Korean and English. Let's see the first sentence again. If I have 1 billion won, I will buy a house. Is this sentence talking about a real possibility or not in English? What do you think? I don't know how you would answer to this question, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter, at least in Korean. I'll tell you why very shortly. Let's see the Korean sentence together. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있으면 저는 집을 살 거예요. 만약, if, 제가, I, 10억 원이, 10 is 10, and 억 is 100 million. 10 multiply 100 million is a billion. 1 is a unit of the Korean currency. E is the particle. This particle E is used because the predicate 있다, which is used with the connective ending 으면, is an adjective when it means to have. 있으면, as I told you, this is the combination of the predicate 있다, which means to have, and the connective ending 으면, which actually turns the clause into conditional. it plus 으면. 있으면. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있으면. 저는, I. The auxiliary particle 는 here can provide a nuance of comparing. I don't know what others would do, but as for me, 저는 집을, a house, 살 거예요, will buy. We used 을 거예요. This compound expression or assistant predicate, whatever you call it, anyway, this 을 거예요 can be used to indicate the future tense. But it can also be used to indicate your mild intention, right? So let's take a look at the entire sentence again. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있으면 저는 집을 살 거예요. If I have 1 billion won, I will buy a house. As you know, the connective ending 으면 can be used to make a simple conditional sentence. Or it can also be used to put the predicate in the subjunctive mood, which tells us that there is no real possibility. Then you might think it's a bit confusing because this connective ending can be used for either conditional or conditional in the subjunctive mood. But it's not that complicated because in Korean, you don't really have to think about it too much. You don't really have to know whether it's just conditional or conditional in the subjunctive mood. I'll tell you why. 만약, in case or if, 제가 10억 원이 있으면 Do you have a 10억 원 now? The answer is no. You don't have it now. It doesn't matter if you use the present simple tense form have or the past tense form had for this sentence. The important thing is you don't have 10억 원 now. That is why you said 만약, and that is why you used 으면. Again, the important thing is the fact that you don't have 10억 원 now. It is not important if there is a real possibility or not. The existence of the real possibility will be determined by the context or speaker's intention, not by this sentence itself, okay? Let's see 저는 집을 살 거예요 part again. 살 거예요. This 살 거예요 part does not tell if it's realistic or non-realistic either. It just shows that it's your mild intention or future. That's it. So in Korean, you can say that there's no clear difference between just conditional and conditional without a real possibility. In other words, subjunctive mood. This is quite important. Again, the important thing is the fact that you don't have that money. And that is why you said if, 만약, and 으면 in Korean. And next important thing you should know is 있으면 part just indicates the present tense. So it means if I have that money now. Okay? Because of the fact that there is no big difference between conditional with a real possibility and conditional without a real possibility, you can also use the connective ending 다면 for the same sentence. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있다면 저는 집을 살 거예요. Please see the 있다면 part. It is the combination of the stem it and the connective ending 다면. We told you that 다면 can be used for the conditional which has lower possibility. It's true, but anyway, you don't have 10억 원 now. Nothing is changed in the actual meaning. Therefore, they both sound almost the same. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있으면 저는 집을 살 거예요. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있다면 저는 집을 살 거예요. Okay, let's see the next sentence. If I had 1 billion won, I would buy a house. Now the English sentence is in the subjunctive mood. This English sentence can tell us two things. One is that the sentence is talking about something which doesn't have a real possibility. And the other thing is that the meaning is present, not past, even though had and would are used. Then let's remember these two things again and make the Korean sentence for this English sentence. First, the English sentence indicates the present tense. Therefore, the Korean sentence will indicate the present tense too. Second, in Korean, you don't really have to worry about the real possibility thing. It's just conditional. The important thing is you don't have that money now in the present moment. So, if, 만약, 제가 1 billion won, 10억 원이 had, again, this sentence indicates the present tense. Therefore, in Korean, you just use the present tense. And you can use the connective ending, 다면, because we told you that it can indicate the lower possibility, as the English sentence indicates there is no real possibility. But the thing is, it wouldn't matter even if you use the other connective ending, 으면. It wouldn't affect the actual meaning that much. Because the important fact is that you don't have that money right now. So the stem it plus 다면 or 으면. 있다면 or 있으면. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있다면 or 만약 제가 10억 원이 있으면. So in English, there is a grammar that can tell us that this is a conditional, but there is no real possibility in this present moment. But in Korean, it doesn't work like that. If you want to indicate the present moment with a conditional, you use the present tense. Okay? Then let's see the second part. 저는 집을 살 것 같아요. We used 을 것 같아요 to sound more like would in English. That's it. It's not that you should use 을 것 같아요, since it's not the direct translation of the English modal would anyway. It just means you expect to do that. Therefore, you can also use other assistant predicates or compound expressions that won't ruin the actual meaning of the sentence you are willing to express. For example, you can even say that if I had 1 billion won, I want to buy a house in Korean. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있다면 저는 집을 사고 싶어요. Or, if I had 1 billion won, I will buy a house. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있다면 저는 집을 살 거예요. No problem. So, we can know that in Korean, there's no big difference between the first English sentence, if I have a billion won, and the second sentence, if I had a billion won. That's the point. Please remember that. Then let's see the next Korean sentence. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면 저는 집을 샀을 것 같아요. Something has changed. Let's take a closer look at the first part. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면. What's changed? Yes, the past tense indicator, 엇, is added. Therefore, it indicates the past. You shouldn't think it's the translation of the English sentence, if I had a billion won. Because of the past tense form, 있었. Okay? It just simply indicates the past tense. It indicates the fact that you didn't have that money in the past. Therefore, the meaning of 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면 is rather close to the third English sentence, if I had had a billion won. Because 있었다면 indicates the past tense. And we use the connective ending 다면 because anyhow, it can indicate the lower possibility theoretically. But you can still use the other connective ending 으면 because 으면 can also indicate something subjunctive in Korean. No problem. We all know that it didn't happen in the past. You didn't have that money in the past. So it wouldn't affect the actual meaning that much, even though you use the connective ending 으면. Okay? Let's see the second part. 저는 집을 샀을 것 같아요. Let's take a closer look at the 샀을 것 같아요 part. Obviously, 샀 is the combination of the stem 사 from the verb 사다 and the past tense indicator 앗. Then why 을 sound is added? because in Korean, the tense is relative. As you know, the final l consonant or 을 sound is used to indicate the future tense, right? The past tense indicator is also used here. The past tense plus future tense indicates the future from the past before the present. Then let's take a look at this as one sentence together. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면 in the past 저는 집을 샀을 것 같아요. At some future point from the past before the present, which is still the past. Do you get it? So, like I said earlier, this sentence can actually be the translation of the third English sentence. If I had had a billion won, I would have bought a house, which indicates the past tense. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면 저는 집을 샀을 것 같아요. And we can know the speaker didn't buy the house because he or she didn't have that money in the past. It's clear enough, right? So you are now able to make conditional sentences in the present and the conditional sentences in the past in Korean. Okay, that's great. But unfortunately, there's one more thing you should learn in Korean. Let's take a look at the next sentence. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었었다면 저는 집을 샀었을 것 같아요. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었었다면 Let's see 있었었다면 part together. It can be a tongue twister for you. 있었었다면 We know the first is a past tense indicator. Then what is the second It's not the past tense indicator. It's a pre-final ending This sound is used right after the past tense indicator het and provides us with the additional information that something happened in the past does not continue anymore. But please think more carefully about the sentence one more time. 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었었다면 We can already know that you didn't have that money in the past because of the past tense indicator Then do we really need to add the extra meaning not anymore here? No, I don't think so. So in my opinion, the second sound, which is a pre-final ending, is not really required in this sentence. Because 만약 and 으면, 다면 already tells us that you didn't have that money in the past. But you can still use it because of the meaning it has, which is something happened in the past does not continue at the present moment anymore. It can emphasize that this was really past and provide a nuance that you recollect something happened in the past which cannot be true anymore. But you should know that the pre-final ending is different from the English past participle or past perfect. The pre-final ending is normally used to indicate something happened in the past is not happening anymore, or something which is different now compared to the past. Okay? Please don't mix up. Let's see the second part too. 저는 집을 샀었을 것 같아요. Let's see the 샀었을 것 같아요 part more closely. The pre-final ending is used here again. The same thing applies here too. The extra meaning not anymore with the pre-final ending is not actually required here. Because the meaning you might have bought the house in the past is enough. There's no use for the meaning not anymore with the pre-final ending But it can still emphasize the fact that you would have done it in the past. Again, the pre-final ending is used in Korean normally to indicate that something happened in the past is not happening at the present moment anymore, or something which is different now compared to the past. Therefore, it doesn't really affect the actual tense of the sentence, but it can still emphasize the past tense. So you can say that it also emphasized that there was no real possibility. Please keep that in mind and let's learn more about this pre-final ending again very soon. So, 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었다면 저는 집을 샀을 것 같아요. And 만약 제가 10억 원이 있었었다면 저는 집을 샀었을 것 같아요. The actual meaning of these two sentences can be almost the same. Just the second sentence could sound like you're emphasizing the past tense a little bit more, like, I would have done it in the past if it had happened to me in the past. But it didn't happen. So it could also emphasize the fact that this didn't happen in the past. Okay? Let's learn about the pre-final ending ot more specifically later again. Okay? Wow, this has been a long page. Let's summarize what we've learned on this page briefly. First of all, in Korean, you don't really need to think about the real possibility when you make a conditional sentence. The more important thing is the tense. Present tense means present tense. Past tense means past tense. Second of all, the combination of the past tense indicator at, het, and the pre-final ending ot, which is at, and het, does not indicate the past participle nor past perfect. The pre-final ending ot is used to indicate that something happened in the past is not happening anymore. Okay, that's it. Let's learn about the pre-final ending ot more specifically. As I told you, this pre-final ending ot is used after the past tense indicator at, het, and it adds the meaning the situation in the past does not continue in the present moment. So it can sound like it emphasized the past tense, like it happened only in the past and not anymore. This pre-final ending is always ot. So when you use it with the past tense indicator ot, it's ot, 어섰. So it can be a bit confusing for you, but they are clearly different elements. Then let's compare the sentence with the just past tense and the past tense with the pre-final ending ot. Please see this Korean sentence. 전에 거기에 자주 갔어요. 전에. 전 means before. It's a noun in Korean. Therefore, you should add a particle 에. 전에. 거기에. 거기 means there. 거기 is a pronoun in Korean, so you can add a particle 에 again. 거기에. 자주 means often. 갔어요, went. It's in the past tense. 전에 거기에 자주 갔어요. What does that mean? Yes, it's just simply I went there often before. Then please take a look at the next sentence. 전에 거기에 자주 갔었어요. Let's see the 갔었어요 part together. As you know, it's the combination of the stem 가, which means to go, the past tense indicator at, and pre-final ending ot with the final ending 어요. Again, we added the pre-final ending ot to 갔어요, which is already in the past. 갔었어요. Then what's the difference? Please listen carefully. In Korean, the past tense indicator simply indicates that something happened in the past, or the situation or action was completed in the past and its state continues to the present moment. Let's not think about the its state continues to the present moment part for now. The first sentence, 전에 거기에 자주 갔어요, without the pre-final ending ot, simply indicates the past. You went there often. Or you would go there often. That's it. But the second sentence, 전에 거기에 자주 갔었어요, with the pre-final ending ot, provides us with more information. When we hear this pre-final ending ot sound, we can know the speaker's intention trying not to link the past event to the present. In other words, the speaker wants to imply that it only happened in the past, or it doesn't happen anymore. Again, this is important. We don't know for sure whether the speaker still goes there or not, because the speaker didn't say that out loud. But at least we can guess the speaker's intention from the pre-final ending ot. We can guess that the speaker is trying to say it happened only in the past. If you want to sound clearer to imply that you don't go there anymore, you can add the auxiliary particle 는 to 전에. 전에는 compared to the present. 전에는 거기에 자주 갔었어요. I would go there often before compared to the present. Okay? Let's see the next sentence. 회사에서 전화가 왔어요. 회사에서 전화가 왔어요. 회사에서 from the company. 전화가 a phone call. 왔어요. came. It means a phone call came from the company, or the company called you, or someone called you from the company, or you received a phone call from the company. Whatever the English sentence is, it's 회사에서 전화가 왔어요. From company, a phone call came in Korean. And let's see the next sentence with the pre-final ending ot right away. 회사에서 전화가 왔었어요. 회사에서 전화가 왔었어요. 왔었어요 is the combination of the stem o, past tense indicator, at, and pre-final ending ot with the final ending 어요. What, 어요? 왔었어요. 왔었어요. What's the difference between these two sentences? The first sentence, 회사에서 전화가 왔어요, can of course mean just someone called you from the company. But it can also mean someone called you from the company and he or she is still holding it, still on the phone. Now you understand the second usage of the simple past tense in Korean that we explained above. The situation or action was completed in the past and its state continues to the present moment. As you know, in Korean, you indicate the actual moment that something happened. So someone called you, it's already in the past. Even when someone has just called, you use the past tense for the fact that someone called you. And this someone is still holding the phone waiting for you to answer. So the state of calling the phone continues to the present moment. In this case, you can just simply use the past tense. 회사에서 전화가 왔어요. How about the second sentence? 회사에서 전화가 왔었어요. 회사에서 전화가 왔었어요. Because of the pre-final ending ot, it means someone called you from the company, but he or she hung up the phone already. The state of making a phone call does not continue to the present moment. Okay? Let's see the next sentence. 전에 좋아했었던 사람을 봤어요. 전에 좋아했었던 사람을 봤어요. 전에, before. 좋아했었던, liked. 사람을, a person. 봤어요, saw. What does that mean? Yes, I saw someone that I liked before. Do you remember the modifier ending 던? Hope you do, but don't worry, I'll explain about it again. Let's learn about the difference between 좋아했던 and 좋아했었던. 좋아했던 is of course 좋아했 with the past tense indicator plus 던. And 좋아했었던 is the combination of 좋아했, the pre-final ending ot, and the modifier ending 던. 좋아했었던. Let's talk about the modifier ending 던 one more time. 던 is actually used to indicate that something happened in the past, stopped without completion. Again, the modifier ending 던 can indicate that something stopped in the past. And it can also indicate that something stopped in the past without completion. It can indicate something incomplete too. So sometimes it can sound a little bit unclear if you still like this person or not. Most of the cases, it's clear enough, but if you want to sound clearer that you don't like this person anymore, you can add a pre-final ending ot. 좋아했었던. 좋아했었던. 좋아했었던 sounds more like you liked this person before but not anymore. Okay? Very good. Let's learn about the various conjugation with 으면 and 다면. It's a bit complicated, but not that complicated, so please don't worry. Let's take a look at the connective ending 으면 first. The basic rule is the same. When there is no final consonant in the formal block, you add only 면. when there is a final consonant in the formal block, you add 으면. Then let's see the exceptions only. 살다, which means to live. When the last letter of the stem has final 르 consonant, you just add 면 instead of 으면 in the present tense. It's an exception. Yes, present tense and any stem that has final 르 consonant in its last letter. So it's not 살으면, it's just 살면. 살면. Okay? That's it. There is no other exceptions for 으면. Just one thing. It's not an exception, but when the stem 이 from 이다 meets the past tense indicator 엇, they can be combined together, as you know. 이엇 becomes 엿. That's all. Then let's see the conjugations with the connective ending 다면. The basic rule is when there is no final consonant in the formal block, you add final 느 consonant to the stem and add 다면. When there is a final consonant in the formal block, you add 는다면. There are two exceptions here. First exception also happens to the stem which has final 르 consonant in its last letter, such as 살다. When the last letter of the stem has final 르 consonant, you get rid of the final 르 consonant and add final 느 consonant instead in the present tense. So it becomes 산다면, 산다면 instead of 살른다면. Okay? 산다면. The second exception happens to the predicate 이다 in the present tense. In the present tense, you add 라면 instead of 다면 to the stem 이. So it becomes 이라면. 이라면. Okay? And to the past tense, and the past tense with the pre-final ending 엇, you always add 다면 only. That's it. Then let me read through all the conjugations. First, with the connective ending 으면. 가다, which means to go. The stem is 가. 가면, 갔으면, 갔었으면. 먹다, to eat. 먹으면, 먹었으면, 먹었었으면. 살다, to live. 살면, exception. 살았으면, 살았었으면. 이다, to be. Actually, it's not to be, but anyway. 이면, 이었으면 or 였으면. 이었었으면 or 였었으면. Now with the connective ending 다면. 가다, 간다면, 갔다면. It's not 갖는다면. It's 갔다면 and 갔었다면. 먹다, 먹는다면, 먹었다면, 먹었었다면. 살다, 산다면, it's not 살른다면, it's 산다면, and 살았다면, past tense, 살았었다면, past tense with the pre-final ending, 엇. 이다, 이라면, not 인다면, it's 이라면, and 이었다면, or 였다면, and 이었었다면 or 였었다면. Please take a closer look at them again when you have enough time. Let's learn about the compound expression 을 텐데 on this page. When you use this 을 텐데 at the end of the sentence to someone who deserves honorifics, you should add a suffix 요, like 을 텐데요. 을 텐데요. But you cannot directly use 을 텐데 with the formal honorific ending 읍니다, 씁니다 or suffix 니다. Okay? Please remember that. When you are talking to yourself, you can just use 을 텐데 without honorific suffix 요. Yes, 을 텐데 is also used when you are talking to yourself. You can think this 대 sound is the same 대 sound that the connective ending 는데, 은데 has. Therefore, you can also use this compound expression 을 텐데 in the middle of the sentence as a connective ending. As you know, compound expression and grammar expression indicate the same thing in Korean grammar. Sometimes assistant predicate too. When there are two or more predicates combined together for one grammatical function, we call it compound expression or grammar expression. The predicate which is used in the compound expression, we call it an assistant predicate. Then what is the usage of this compound expression 을 텐데 or 을 텐데요? There are two usages on this page. Let's read them together. First, 을 텐데 or 을 텐데요 is used when you want to indicate your guess or wish, especially when it's used as the last predicate. Second, 을 텐데 is used when you suggest your guess or wish followed by something related or contrary to it, especially when it's used in the middle of the sentence as a connective ending. Therefore, basically, 을 텐데 or 을 텐데요 indicates speaker's guess or wish. That's it. And this 을 텐데요 can be used with 만약, 으면, 다면 too, because it indicates your wish. Let's make actual sentences together with the compound expression 을 텐데 and 을 텐데요. Let's take a look at the English sentence first. If I had been there yesterday, it would have been better. Let's see the Korean sentence for this English sentence then. 제가 어제 거기에 있었으면 or 있었다면 좋았을 텐데요. Let's not use 만약 here. You don't have to use 만약 when you make a conditional sentence in Korean. No problem at all. Because the connective ending 으면 or 다면 will do the job. Okay? 제가, I, 어제, yesterday, 거기에, there. We use the particle 에 that indicates the location. 거기에. 있었으면 or 있었다면. It's the combination of the stem it from 있다, which means to be at a location, and the past tense indicator 엇, and the connective ending 으면 or 다면, which turns the clause into conditional. 있었으면 or 있었다면. If you had been, it indicates the past tense. 좋았을 텐데요. 조 is the stem of the adjective 좋다, which can mean to be good. 앗 is of course the past tense indicator, and we added 을 텐데요 at the end. 좋았을 텐데요. 좋았을 텐데요. It means it would have been good. The original English sentence was it would have been better. But in Korean, you don't need to use comparative here. You can just say good. That's enough. 좋았을 텐데요. As we explained earlier, 좋았을 텐데요 still indicates the past. As I already explained, the tense in Korean is relative, so the past tense indicator 앗 indicates the past, and 을 sound indicates the future from the past moment, which is still the past. 텐데 or 텐데요 is used only with 을 sound. Therefore, you can remember it as a set. 을 텐데요. 좋았을 텐데요. This 을 텐데요 sounds like you feel pity for it. So it tells us that you wish you were there. 제가 어제 거기에 있었으면 좋았을 텐데요. Or 제가 어제 거기에 있었다면 좋았을 텐데요. The difference between 으면 and 다면? Yes, 다면 sounds a little bit more like you're talking about something which couldn't have happened. But there's no huge difference between two, as I told you. Then let's see the next sentence and compare it with the first sentence. 제가 어제 거기에 있었으면 좋았을 것 같아요. 제가 어제 거기에 있었으면 좋았을 것 같아요. Let's take a closer look at 좋았을 것 같아요 part. This time we used 을 것 같아요. 좋았을 것 같아요 can also sound like it would have been good. Then what's the difference between 좋았을 텐데요 and 좋았을 것 같아요? As I told you, the first one, 좋았을 텐데요, sounds more like you feel pity for it, like you wish you were there. And the second one, 좋았을 것 같아요, just sounds like you guess it would have been better, or you expect it was good or better. Now you understand the usage of 을 텐데요, right? Let's see the next sentence then. 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 or 갈 수 있다면 좋을 텐데요. 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 좋을 텐데요. or 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있다면 좋을 텐데요. There's nothing you don't know. 제가, I, 지금, now, 거기에, there, 갈 수 있으면, can go, the stem 가 and the compound expression with an assistant predicate 을 수 있다, which means can is added. Of course, the suffix 다 is not shown because we still need to add a connective ending 으면 or 다면. 갈 수 있으면 or 갈 수 있다면 if can go. 좋을 텐데요. would be good. 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 좋을 텐데요. or 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있다면 좋을 텐데요. If I could go there now, it would be good. You're saying this because you cannot go there now. You wish and you feel pity for it. Let's see the next sentence then. 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 or 갈 수 있다면 얼마나 좋을까요? 얼마나 좋을까요? Let's take a look at the 얼마나 좋을까요 part. Can you guess what it means? What are the grammatical elements used in this part? There's nothing you don't know. 얼마나, how. 얼마나 is used to indicate the quantity or degree which is not certain or fixed, and it's used with an adjective or adverb. 좋을까요? 좋 is the stem of the adjective to be good, of course. 을까요 is used to ask the listener's opinion. Remember? 을까요? 얼마나 좋을까요? How good do you think it would be? Right? When adjective is used after 얼마나, it's used as a predicate. Remember? So 얼마나 좋을까요 means how good do you think it would be? But as you know, this is not actually a question. Of course, it can be a question too, but here it's just an emphasis. So, 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 좋을 텐데요. And 제가 지금 거기에 갈 수 있으면 얼마나 좋을까요? Sound very similar. Do you agree? Let's see the next sentence. This one is a little bit different. Please listen carefully. 내일은 바쁠 텐데 다음에 만날까요? 내일은 바쁠 텐데 다음에 만날까요? This 을 텐데 is used in the middle of the sentence as a connective ending. Of course, you shouldn't use the suffix 요 in the middle of the sentence. 내일은, tomorrow. We use the auxiliary particle 은 to the adverb 내일. It adds a nuance of comparing to the adverb. It can mean compared to today or compared to the other day. Or it can just sound like you bring out 내일 as a topic of the sentence. 바쁠 텐데. 바쁠 텐데 is the combination of the adjective 바쁘다, which means to be busy, and final 르 consonant plus 텐데. This time, 바쁠 텐데 is your guess. 내일은 바쁠 텐데. The subject is omitted, so it can mean I must be busy tomorrow too. But let's say it means you must be busy tomorrow. 내일은 바쁠 텐데. 다음에. 다음 means next time or next. We add a particle 에 because it's a time-related word, plus it indicates a point in time. 다음에. 만날까요? 만날까요 is the combination of the verb 만나다, which means to meet, and the final ending 을까요, which is used to ask the listener's opinion. 다음에 만날까요? Shall we meet next time? 다음에 만날까요? 내일은 바쁠 텐데 다음에 만날까요? You must be busy tomorrow. Shall we meet next time? Like this, 을 텐데 can also indicate your strong yes, and it can also be used in the middle of the sentence. Okay, this is the end of YouTube version of lesson 9. You can find the full version on our website. See you in the next lesson then. 안녕히 계세요.